So after Thursday's video during Storm Brendan, the weather started to ease off ever so slightly, and although still windy, the forecast promised some of my favourite conditions for landscape photography: post-storm light. So one of my favourite times to come out with my camera is actually after there's been a storm, quite close to the end, but when you know you're going to get light. I don't actually know what happens scientifically, I don't know why it's so nice, but it just is from my experience. Something happens with the light. So I've come back to the Lake District National Park this week and I'm amongst the fells. I've picked out a fell right in the central Lake District. The weather forecast looks spot on. Super cumbering. It looks like the weather's going to be changeable from 1 minute to the next. We've got this cloud that's lingering over the fells, so we're going to get light 1 minute, then showers the next. Absolute cracking conditions to come out with your camera. Some of my favourites, and hopefully, like I said, because we've just had Storm Brendan finishing, the light should be even nicer. So yeah, I picked a fell that's going to give us a really nice vantage point over the rest of the Lake District, over various fells. I've got all three of my lenses. I've managed to remember my wide angle, so I'm giving myself a really nice, a huge focal range to play with. So I'm hoping that every now and again we are going to get these breaks of light, which I have been getting so far in this little hike. And of course, fingers crossed for some cracking photographs. So I'd love you guys to join me, as always, on this adventure. Let's crack on. As I continued up my fell, the winds increased and the light faded, but out of nowhere I was greeted by the most spectacular view toward the Langdale Pikes. Alright guys, so as you can see, what a scene behind. We got this beautiful, well, it's actually a reservoir down here, and we're looking back towards the Langdales, and wow, these are exactly the sort of conditions that I wanted. Absolutely stunning. So to be honest, at the minute there's not really any need for me to be using my tripod. I'm shooting at f6.3 ISO 100, and that's giving me 1/160th of a second, so I just don't need my tripod. You know, I always say I like to get it out, but in times like this when I'm trying to make the most of this fleeting light, because that's all it is, shoot handheld. And this is what it's all about. This is what I mentioned in the introduction. Look at that scene now. The bottom half of this scene is light. Look at the back. Stormy skies, absolutely beautiful. And that is, honestly guys, that's what the Lake District is all about. That contrast between the light, beautiful, soft light like we get in winter. It's the middle of the day, it's just past 12 o'clock. Look at this. And then the background, stormy, dark, brooding skies, just like we had in Thursday's video. Absolutely stunning. And then in the background, right off in the background there behind the Langdales, and we've even got a little bit of snow on one of the fells. And look at that, the light's gone, and I've got the shots. Absolutely crazy. And to be honest, it may not come back, but I've managed to grab that shot. If I'd have been fiddling about with my tripod, I might not have got it. So I think that's going to be really nice. I just want to talk you through my composition a little bit more before I show you it. The reason I've come up here, I'm kind of on a bit of a cliff edge here. I wanted some immediate foreground interest. I wasn't happy just shooting the scene of the reservoir and then the sort of background there. Even though it's beautiful, I just wanted an extra dynamic. So on this cliff edge, we've got this rock, or what's the edge of the cliff really. And what I like about this is going to be in the right hand side of my frame. The reservoir, like I said, is going to be on the far left, and then we're going to go back over to the Langdales there, them jagged peaks you can see in the background, which again are going to be on the right. So we've got a real journey through this photograph, a real zigzag from right to left and then back to the right. And it's just a really nice, pleasant way for the audience's eye to be led through the image. I really hope that makes sense. Whereas I think without the foreground interest, it still would have been gorgeous, but it would have just been a bit of a snapshot. Anyway, I'll show you this shot now guys. I really hope you like it, and then we'll see what else we can find.
after securing a lovely classic Lake District image, it was time to head off to the other side of the fell in search of that ever elusive Cumbrian winter light.
So yeah, I've decided to come over to what would be the sort of western side of this fell, and of course the sun sets in the west, or more sort of southwest this time of year. But what it means is you can see that beautiful light there over my right shoulder, right down the throat of Coniston Water, absolutely gorgeous. But what I'm trying to do is try and maximise the amount of light that we're going to get for the rest of the day. Of course, the light needs to play ball, but what I'm kind of banking on and really hoping for, as you can see there's some storm clouds that are quite high up, but then below that, it looks like there's a bit of a break in the clouds, which means, fingers crossed, that if the sun comes down there, it's then going to paint this landscape that we're on up on this fell with some beautiful golden light, and by then it'll be even closer to sunset, so the light should be even nicer if we get it. So what I'm going to do for the next, I don't know, half hour or so is just spend some time up here on this fell and searching for potential compositions, all shooting in that direction, like I say, in the hope that this beautiful light plays ball. Right, so as I was packing up there, just after I spoke about, wanting to explore up here a little bit more and try and prepare for a composition, I kind of looked over my shoulder again, back towards Coniston Water, and thought, what am I doing? I felt like I really came to my senses and thought, look how beautiful that light is. And quickly grabbed the camera out, got the long lens on and started playing around. I really like to think that when you guys were listening to me talk there before, you were shouting at the screen saying, Henry, turn around, look how beautiful it is down towards Coniston. So yeah, long lens, and I'm really playing around a little bit here, getting quite creative. I think I'm going to get an image that's quite abstract. And one thing that I really like doing as a photographer is really using my shadows to their advantage. I think your shadows can be a really beautiful part of your photograph, especially when you've got such a contrast between highlights as well. And that's exactly what we've got here, shooting right down the throat of Coniston Water, top draw. So I have got the long lens on, but I'm only shooting at 55mm. So actually I'm not like super zoomed in down the lake there. But what I'm going to do is essentially underexpose this shot. Obviously you can see the water is quite bright, it's reflecting all that sunlight, so that's, it's got quite a lot of highlights on it, whereas the mountains that are sloping down into it and everything that surrounds it is actually quite dark. So I'm really going to utilize that and really bring down the exposure of this image, so you can kind of only see the shadows of the peaks really subtly, and then just this beautiful strip that would be Coniston Water going throughout the image. Then of course we'll have some beautiful soft light in that break in the clouds up there, and then above that I've managed to capture a little bit of them stormy dark clouds as well. I've just absolutely love them sort of clouds. I think this is going to be, although an abstract shot, I think this is going to be an image that really suits the day, and an image that really suits the Lake District National Park and the weather conditions that are so common here. Settings, obviously I'm not using the old tripod again, there's just no need. This wind is crazy. I'd say it's stronger than Thursday when I was on the coast. So I'm shooting f6.3 ISO 100, and that's giving me a shutter speed of 1/1000th of a second, which is well because I'm essentially deliberately underexposing to get something abstract. That shutter speed's perfect. So I'll show you that image now, guys. I really hope you like it, and then I'm going to crack on doing what I said I was going to do up on this fell and try and prepare for that light dropping down below them clouds and painting this fell here. I hope you like this image.
So I searched and I searched and searched some more, where eventually I found something of interest. Of course, it was atop the fell summit where we had 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Wow, it is windy up here. It is really windy and difficult to work with, but we're set up, the composition is ready to go, good to go, and now we're just waiting to see if anything happens with this light. Fingers crossed.
So the low clouds stuck around and things weren't really looking promising in the old light department.
So I've been up here for ages now, at least an hour, probably closer to an hour and a half, and nothing's really happened with regards to that sun dipping down below the clouds, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm going to take this shot anyway because I think it's a gorgeous scene and there's lots of nice elements. The light would help and add an extra dynamic to the image, but I think it's going to be alright as it is, and I just really want to show it to you guys because I think it's nice. So as you can see to the west, it's still absolutely gorgeous, and I'm going to stick around until sunset, getting on towards sunset, and just wait and see if anything's going to happen. And I might take another photograph as well, I'm not sure yet. But this one, I'm managing to get this all in one photograph. There's not much of a dynamic range, it's not very high because obviously we're not shooting into the sunlight, which is helpful. So at f11, ISO 100, that's giving me 1/60th of a second to make sure the exposure is correct. But yeah, just compositionally, these crags up here on this fell are absolutely gorgeous, and they're just naturally leading us into the Langdales and into a similar scene that we shot before actually, where we had the reservoir in the foreground, but it's just a little bit different. And I'm really enjoying using my wide angle lens at the minute and getting some nice foreground interest in there. So I'm focus stacking. I'm taking one shot that's focusing on the rocks because they're so close to the lens, and I'm actually getting into my focus stacking a little bit now. I think it makes the images look a lot better. And then the second photograph will be focused back there on the Langdale pikes, blend them together. Of course, that'll give us a nice focus throughout the image. And that's that really. So it's a decent little comp. One that I'm happy with. Like I said, it would have been better with the light, but I'm going to stick around and see if anything happens with that light over there. But I'll tell you what, it's not a bad place to hang about, is it? I hope you guys like this shot. So now I managed to get that shot, the one that I kind of had in mind. Yeah, it really doesn't look like we're going to get any light over there at all. I am going to stick around. Sunset's not till another 40 minutes. There's a lot of low cloud, at least 90% coverage, so it's very unlikely that anything's going to happen at sunset. But I'm up here now, and 40 minutes isn't too long to wait in such a beautiful location. So I'm going to stick it out, and maybe we'll see if something happens. And if it does, that last shot is my composition. But yeah, you can see I'm set up here. This will be the last shot of the day unless something happens with the sunset. And this was just me up here kind of moping about really, hanging about waiting for the light, and I just sat down here trying to get a little bit of shelter from the wind that's coming in this direction. And this, I don't know, scene composition just kind of stumbled upon me, which is really cool. So, portrait dimension, and actually the shot that I got on Thursday on the coast, in many ways this is quite similar. Obviously the background's not very similar, but we've got some rocks in the foreground and we've got a little bit of a rock pool, and I'm shooting in portrait, so yeah, in many ways it's quite similar. But as well, this is just making the most of that beautiful light that we've got over there. Again, I'd be silly just to, you know, stand up here and not make, or, you know, try and make some use of it. So it's a difficult one to shoot technically because there's such an incredibly high dynamic range, even though the sun's not out. Oh god, I'm sliding down. Even though the sun's not out, I'm shooting right in the direction of where that sun is, so obviously the sky is really bright, so I'm bracketing a lot. Composition, portrait dimension, obviously right in the foreground here we've got this tiny little rock pool which is going to be at the bottom right and third of my shot, and I really like it. It's cool. And then these crags up here sort of lead us down nicely. They're all sort of leading us into Coniston Water down there. You know, they're all lined up in the right direction, which is just perfect. And obviously themselves as rocks, just beautiful foreground interest. And of course, as it so often does here in the lakes, the background just speaks for itself. Absolutely beautiful light. We are capturing Coniston Water, which is going to be on the very left hand side of the frame, which is awesome. And then again, I just love it when the sky's like that, when you've got beautiful golden light. We've got layers and layers of fells over there, but then you've got that stormy sky there where you've got that low cloud. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's such an amazing contrast. So this shot, which is essentially underexposed because I'm exposing for the sky, is f9, ISO 100 and 1/200th of a second. Then my shot is my shot that's for the foreground is obviously a little bit brighter, is 1/60th of a second, f9, ISO 100. Then I will blend them two together so it's just like I see it with my own eyes here, and that's going to be amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much that. This could be the last shot of the day. We'll see what happens with the old light. But yeah, I hope you guys like this shot. So the light in the background now has pretty much disappeared. It just happened in the space of a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna finish it off there, and if you guys have time, please leave a comment below this video. It really helps my videos out, and I read everyone. I try my best to reply to every single one as well. Please give the video a like as well if you have time, and if you're new, consider subscribing. There's going to be plenty more of this content. Above all, thank you guys so much for watching, and cheers for the support. It's much appreciated, and I shall see you on the next adventure on Thursday. Out.